What's something that people get wrong about you?
I think people get a lot wrong about me who don't know me. Sometimes when I have read things about myself, this projection of the New Age woo-woo, there's not real deep, serious thought here or something. It used to be something that just made me feel so insulted, and now it's just kind of like whatever. That bitch for guy comment is very, very much out of context. Thank you for asking. I was doing some event and I wanted to say a prayer, and somebody said that I shouldn't say a prayer. Somebody said she's being bitchy about it, and I said, well, at least I'm a bitch for God, which, believe me, I regret saying, given how much that has been repeated. What's my favorite curse word? I can't say it here, but it begins with F. My first paying job was being a waitress at a Ramada Inn in Houston, Texas. I was starstruck when I met Jackie Kennedy. I met Jackie Kennedy, she was Jackie Onassis at that time, and I met with her at her apartment on Fifth Avenue. There's often a feeling you get in the background of, let's not forget who I am. But with Jacqueline Onassis, you felt that the request coming from her was, please forget who I am. Please forget who I am, so that this can be real between us. It would be what I see as the cancer that underlies all the other cancers, and that is the nefarious, undue influence of money on our political system. I don't think it's reasonable to think that we will be able to overturn Citizens United anytime soon, so we need either a constitutional amendment or, and this is what I would do, submit to Congress legislation to establish public funding of federal campaigns. We have become a veiled aristocracy. We're not functioning as a democracy. Our government does more to advocate for short-term profits for huge multinational corporations than it does to advocate for the people of this country and the people of this world and the planet on which we live. There's no app I can't live without. There have been times when I felt exhausted, but I don't know about burnout. Burnout happens when you think you're the one generating answers. When you see yourself as a conduit and not the generator of whatever good is happening, so that it's happening more through you than from you, there's a whole level of psychological burden that you don't carry. If she was younger, Deborah Winger. When I first started lecturing in Los Angeles, it was 1983, and not long after that, the AIDS crisis burst onto the scene. In my work, there emerged nonprofit organizations that we founded. First, it was Los Angeles Center for Living, then there was a Manhattan Center for Living that was giving non-medical support services to people dealing with life-challenging illnesses such as AIDS. And then in Los Angeles, we founded, as an arm of that, an organization called Project Angel Food, which took Meals on Wheels type of delivery service to homebound people living with AIDS. It has carried on. It now serves people with a large array of life-challenging situations, and today it has served over 11 million meals. I've certainly felt the discrimination that most women have felt, a kind of underlying, covert, even if not overt misogyny. But in my professional world, and I see it even in this campaign, it's an arrogance towards a mindset that does not toe the line with a certain kind of mechanistic 20th century thinking. I think there was a time in my life when I thought things were more black and white. The older you get, the more you go through, the more you realize that life is complicated and that there are gray areas. And I think I've become a little more merciful towards myself and others. I Will Survive by Gloria Gaynor. Politicians are not the only people who do deep thinking about this country. In fact, given the fact that so many of them have to spend 50-60% of their time raising money, that's kind of not what they necessarily do all day. You don't have to be a politician to know what this country is supposed to stand for. You don't have to be a politician to have read the Declaration of Independence. You don't have to be a politician to have really allowed yourself to breathe in what it means to say that a government is to be of the people, by the people, and for the people. I challenge the idea that only people who have had careers entrenched for decades in the limitations of the mindset that drove us into this ditch are the only people we should consider qualified to lead us out of it. You can have the best car mechanic, but the best car mechanic may or may not have any idea what road you should drive. I guess the first person I would think of in terms of who I love and why would be my daughter. She's got such upstanding character. She had it when she was a little girl. I remember once, she was really little, and the man who was working at our house did a mouse trap. And she came in, I think she was around 4 years old, and she's Mommy, and she was explaining to me how we would not kill an animal. And she was saying in this 4-year-old way that if you want to do something else to get rid of the mice, Mommy, you can do that, but we will not be killing animals in this house. So she had this righteous quality to her, even when she was a little girl, and she's quite a woman now. I've failed in my life just as I have succeeded, and you learn from both. Sometimes in life there's a sense, well, they know. The accountants know, the doctors know, the political operatives know, the lawyers know, and they're all consultants. But I think that the bottom line should always be what your gut knows. Well, right now I'm not getting them, but my happiest days are when I got 8 hours of sleep. I'm kind of a romantic about democracy. I think the founders were right. Just trust the wisdom of the people. If I was deciding between a man and a woman, and they were saying the exact same things, and I trusted the character and the personhood of both equally, for me, look, I want to see a woman president. But the bottom line is consciousness. The bottom line is someone who recognizes the unity of all beings and the fact that we must evolve as a species to a larger sense of compassion and even reverence for this planet and for each other and for our unborn great-great-grandchildren. One of the first things I will do is to appoint a world-class environmental scientist to head the Environmental Protection Agency. No longer will there be an ex-chemical company lobbyist at the head of the EPA or an ex-oil company lobbyist at the head of the EPA. We have 12 years. We've got to sequester the carbon. We have to reforest. We have to develop sustainable energy, sustainable transportation, and we have to address the issues of factory farming, the nitrous oxide, the methane, etc. We have the people. We have the experts. We have people who have spent their lives, best practices and projects, but they are given so few resources, so little funding compared to the focus and the resources and the funding that we give to the huge corporate forces and the corporatist agenda that runs us now. I'm President of the United States. All that changes. I have some questions, but I'm not going to ask them in public. I like you too much.